Hi there, what's up? My name is Garrett. If you clicked on this video, then you're looking for a worship keys template that is compatible with Ableton, even Ableton Lite. And like me, you've probably had a hard time finding one. Sure, there are a lot of keys templates for Ableton Standard and Ableton Suite, but a lot of those have Omnisphere or Keyscape plugins built into them. So if you don't have a pretty extensive and costly keys library already, then it's hard to make those templates work how they're meant to. That's why I wanted to make a template that was accessible for even beginner worship keys players, that you can use to make an incredible sounding worship tone without having to buy any extra plugins. I'll play a little bit to let you hear the tone in action, and then I'll walk through each of the pieces and elements of this template so you can see what's all in there. So let's get into it. Let's go through each of these elements and take a closer look at how they work. To start, you've got this MIDI track here where my mouse is. Now most worship keys templates use a ton of different MIDI tracks for each different instrument they're using. I prefer to put all the elements together into an instrument rack like this to save on your computer's CPU usage and also to take advantage of these macros here, which I'll show you in just a minute. Plus, I prefer a simple approach with a few great tones that you can make adjustments to throughout a set list, rather than having to dig through a whole bunch of different tones to find one you like for each different song that you play. So in the instrument rack here, you're going to see all of the different instruments. We've got a grand piano here, an octave piano, a pad, and a synth lead. Then I've got these macros custom built so you can make quick adjustments mid-song. I'll go through each of these different features so you can see what I did to each element to make it sound amazing. Alright, grand piano, that's the basic tone you hear. I can take out the pad for now and just solo the piano. So just the basic Ableton grand piano sounds really great for a stock Ableton sound. I made a few adjustments to these knobs to get the best tone out of this piano, and I also mapped the piano tone knob to a macro over here called piano tone. So I'm going to adjust this piano tone from my keyboard. You can see me move it down and up. If I move it down like this, this is perfect for mellow moments. Then I'm going to brighten the tone up. That's all the way bright, and you can hear how different it sounds. I'll bring it back to midway. Midway is normally where I have it for most songs. The tone knob on the piano can add a lot. A lot of times, keys parts in more rhythmic, upbeat type songs use this brighter keys tone. And then slower, more ambient songs use the soft tone. So if you map this to your keyboard, you can quickly make adjustments, bring it down to a mellow tone, to a really bright tone, really quickly. One note I did want to make, you can also drag your own instruments or plugins to any of these spaces if you wanted to. So if you have a grand piano tone that you like, for example, I have a Grandeur Native Instruments plugin that I really like the sound of. I just put it in place of this grand piano here. Same if you have a pad or a synth tone that you really like the tone of. You can even add additional instruments down here if you have other tones that you wanted to add to this. Feel free to make it yours. If you're just starting out though, this template does a really great job of giving you a simple and incredible sounding starter worship keys tone. Alright, next we've got our octave piano here. This is a layer that I put in to add to big elements. And if you click here, you can control key and velocity ranges for each element in this instrument rack. You see I've got the key range for this brought over to around G3. So if I play anything below here, that octave piano is not going to activate. This is just my normal grand piano. If I start to play here though, you can hear that octave piano start to activate. I've also done the same thing with the velocity range. If you click over here in velocity, you can see that if I play lightly, even in that key range, nothing's activating. But if I really dig into the key like this, then it comes out into the mix. So that sounds really good, especially for lead lines. And you can adjust these parameters as needed depending on your MIDI keyboard sensitivity. I also shifted the piano up an octave here, as you can see, and then I added a chorus effect here to create a good amount of differentiation from the different keys tones. Okay, to our pad. So this is a great dynamic pad. I've got a few things I did to help with the tone of it. First, I pitch shifted it up an octave to keep it separated from the keys tone. And then you can see here I also sidechain compressed it to the worship keys tone so that whenever your piano is playing, the pads dip a little bit in their signal to give some separation and make your keys really stand out when you're playing. Then I have a filter attached over here in the macros so you can see a really warm tone here. And as I bring this up, you get a really bright tone. Being able to change your pad filter adds so much to your worship keys dynamics, so that during those big moments you've got a bright synth sound breaking through the mix, especially in the high end. And then for those softer moments you can tone it back down to a nice warm tone. Definitely if you're not utilizing a pad filter already in your worship keys, I would start utilizing it. Next, I've got a synth lead on here. It's filtered with the pad so that when the pad filter goes up, the synth filter goes up, and when the pad filter goes down, the synth filter goes down. Let's say we've got a big moment. I'll do Reckless Love here. There's a synth all the way in. Then as I filter it out, you can hear the pad and the synth line both filter out. That synth line is great during big choruses and big bridges. The last part of this instrument rack before I get to the other two tracks is an arpeggiator. There's an on-off switch for the arpeggiator here, and that connects to the pads. So when I bring the arpeggiator up like this, the arpeggiator is activated and on, and then you're going to hear the pads arpeggiate like this. So you can hear some movement going on there, and you can adjust this as needed depending on what you like for your arpeggiators. I have it set so that the groove is in the order that I play my keys in. So depending on how I put my hands down, that's how it's going to arpeggiate. You could adjust here in the style, however you'd like it to arpeggiate though. This effect is best used if you're in a band that uses a click track. You can tap in or type your tempo up here in the tempo section of Ableton, and then the arpeggiator automatically goes at whatever tempo you set. Now at the top of the template here, I've also got an audio track for backing pads. You can get great sounding free worship backing pads on my website and then just drag the MP3 files into here like I've done. I have this audio track sent here to a reverb and a delay so that transitions between the keys are really smooth. Here's what a transition would sound like if we were in key of D and now we transition to E. Backing pads are so useful, especially for those moments in between songs. A lot of times, I know as keys players, you guys are filling in those spaces, so these backing pads help out a ton. And if you already have your own backing pad files that you like, you could drag the MP3 files into here as well. Alright, next at the top right over here, we've got our master track, and I've put a master EQ and compressor in order to smooth out everything and make sure that the front of house or your sound person is getting the best signal possible so they can make you sound amazing on the soundboard. I have this worship keys template for sale on my website right now. It will be linked in the description below. If you have any questions about the template, feel free to comment below, and hopefully this will be transformative for your worship keys tone and playing. If you're new to using Ableton or any other digital audio workstation for your worship keys tone and you need help getting set up, check out this video for a simple step-by-step guide to connecting your laptop to your keyboard.